After the Avengers proved that the ambitious crossover filmmaking of the Marvel Cinematic Universe could work, Phase 2 had to prove that the franchise had longevity beyond that initial team-up. Phase 2 was a mixed bag, with some great movies like Captain America, The Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy, and some polarizing entries like Iron Man 3 and Avengers: Age of Ultron. Phase 2 continued Phase 1's tradition of including at least one big plot twist in each movie. Some of Phase 2's twists blew audiences' minds, like the revelation that Bucky is alive and he's been brainwashed to assassinate Cap for Hydra, while others were wildly controversial, like the revelation that the Mandarin is just an actor. 6. Thor: The Dark World. Loki is alive after he unexpectedly became a fan favorite with his villainous turn in the first Avengers movie. Loki was given a larger role in Thor: The Dark World. Thor reluctantly teams up with his imprisoned brother when dark elves attack Asgard. Loki makes a heartbreaking sacrifice to save Thor, but the whole thing turns out to be a goof. They don't call him the god of mischief for nothing. Not only is he alive, he's posing as Odin on the throne of Asgard. In his early MCU appearances, the trickster god had so many fake-out deaths that it became tired and predictable after a while. When he was eventually killed off for good, fans were skeptical. And, of course, he ended up making a comeback in his own streaming series. 5. Iron Man 3. The Mandarin is just an actor. Throughout the first 2 acts of Iron Man 3, director Shane Black builds a palpable sense of terror around the fearsome terrorist leader the Mandarin. Then, around the movie's midpoint, when Tony infiltrates the Mandarin's lair for a climactic showdown, he finds that the Mandarin is just an actor and soccer hooligan named Trevor Slattery who's been hired by the Ten Rings to pose as the face of their organization. This ended up becoming one of the most controversial plot points in the entire MCU. The Mandarin twist certainly caught audiences by surprise, but it robbed them of the opportunity to see Tony Stark face off against his arch-nemesis from the comics. 4. Avengers: Age of Ultron. Tony and Bruce created the Avengers' worst enemy. The general consensus is that Avengers: Age of Ultron didn't live up to the full potential of its all-powerful villain. But there's a delicious irony in the movie's Frankenstein story. Ultron is a classic monster created by a scientist with a huge ego and delusions of grandeur, and his less egotistical friend. In their attempts to build a cybernetic protector that will do the Avengers' job for them, Tony Stark and Bruce Banner end up creating their own worst enemy. Their goal is to create a suit of armor around the world, but they end up creating a malicious android who can hack into any computer in the world. 3. Ant-Man. Hank wanted Scott to steal the suit after struggling to find gainful employment as an ex-con. Scott Lang reluctantly goes back to his life of crime in the first Ant-Man movie. His old cellmate Luis has heard about a vault full of valuables in an abandoned house through a series of underworld contacts. So, Scott breaks into the house and freezes the door off the vault, but is disappointed to find that all there is inside it is a suit. This suit turns out to have shrinking abilities, and the heist turns out to be a setup by the original Ant-Man, Hank Pym, who's looking for a worthy successor to train in the art of size-shifting superheroics. 2. Guardians of the Galaxy. Groot's sacrifice. The biggest twist in Guardians of the Galaxy is Groot's heartbreaking decision to sacrifice himself. Groot gives his life to save his newfound family. As Ronan's ship goes down over Xandar, Groot grows himself around the other Guardians, allowing himself to die so that they will be able to live on. This movie is remembered as the MCU's first straightforward comedy, but it's not 100% comedic. James Gunn strikes a perfect balance between fun, lighthearted banter and devastating dramatic fare. Unlike most other MCU movies, which are often criticized for undercutting their emotional scenes with too cool-for-school bathos, Guardians allows its sad moments to stay sad. Groot's sacrifice, complete with the beautiful line, "We are Groot," is one of the MCU's most upsetting plot turns. 1. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Bucky is the Winter Soldier in its early days. The MCU was accused of having a villain problem because of its underdeveloped antagonists. But there were a few exceptions to this supposed problem, and the titular Hydra assassin in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, is one of them. Unlike most MCU villains, the Winter Soldier has a personal connection to the hero that adds an emotional undercurrent to their conflict. Cap is shocked to learn that not only is his childhood best friend Bucky Barnes alive and well, decades after he saw him fall to his apparent death, he's been brainwashed to want to kill him. Since Bucky is the hitman trying to kill him, Cap can just solve his latest conflict by defeating the bad guy. He wants to snap him out of it. Bucky was always there for Steve when they were growing up. Now, it's Steve's turn to stay with Bucky to the end of the line.